First of all, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. I know this has been a crazy day for you all. You've probably gone through a few presentations like these, so we'll keep it at a high level. We've put a good amount of effort. It's been very exciting for us, but we only want to showcase things that are beneficial to CFPB, we think, in the long term. So here's a quick introduction. Team hAPI, of course, is comprised of folks from Fresh Gravity and Google Cloud. Not everyone from Fresh Gravity is on the call. So on the call are Dan Doherty, Ashish Thorat, Alex Childs, and myself, Nilesh Chingra. And I think from Google, we may have Albert and Peter on the call. So yeah, just a quick introduction there. So when we started this assignment, we looked at what exists already at CFPB and HMDA in general. We noticed that there is a data tools platform, if you want to call it, the filing platform and the data browser that has some really good tools out there. Tools like rate spread and file format and LAR formatting, which are, I'm assuming, very actively used, but there was no way to tell what the usage is like, if it's really end users, developers who are using it, or is it credit unions or banks. So I think that's one thing we got out of that it's a really good collection of tools, which I'm pretty sure is very useful to the end users, but there could be some improvements that could be made there. Then we also looked at the API portal, which is at the right-hand, left-hand side. That has some APIs listed there with some documentation. Great idea. In fact, that's the idea we want to extend. It has some limited documentation, but it could be improved. And then we also looked at the GitHub as well as the Docker Hub, great repositories for code, active usage. We felt that, for example, the GitHub community could be expanded. I think there's about 30-something users right now, and that definitely has a potential for increasing the user base or the developer base. So Ashish, if you don't mind going to the next slide. So what we are proposing and what we did under this tech sprint is, in the future state, is a developer portal that can be used for hosting the APIs as well as the tools. And the idea here is to have a very comprehensive, robust portal that's easy to use, has a clean look and feel. So it automatically attracts users and developers and helps in building a community of developers that CFPB can benefit from. So you'll see that on the left-hand side, there are some features, and I won't go through each of those in the interest of time, and some benefits that correspond to these on the right-hand side. And we'll send these slides to you anyway after the presentation. But in a nutshell, what we're saying is that if we build such a developer portal, which is a pretty common occurrence, and we have done that, and we'll show you the demo using Apigee, which is a Google tool. What you can do is really build a one-stop shop that is secure. And it's self-service based, so when a user or a developer, and not all of it, right? So the tools can be open, the tools can be used by anyone, but when developers come, they can actually register, or they should register, so then you can track the usage of APIs, track the usage of how the developers are using those APIs. And in other ways, another way you can tell which APIs are the most popular APIs, which APIs you need some fixing. And then, of course, you can run analytics behind the scenes on usage of APIs as well as performance of those APIs. And if you want to include tools in that, that's perfectly fine as well. And then, of course, it'll serve as a comprehensive catalog of all the APIs, and it encourages this community-based collaboration between developers, which you are doing it anyway through the GitHub, but this makes it more formalized. And then lastly, I think it may be a little far-fetched, but if CFPB has ideas on adding additional revenue streams, rate limiting and monetization are features that come out of the box with tools like Apigee and then can be implemented, and that can add to the bottom line of the revenue for CFPB. So next slide, Ashish. So we actually implemented 2 use cases, and we'll show you the demo. And in the interest of time, I'll just very quickly go through this. So this one is, as I was saying, it's the developer portal, some of the benefits that we talked about, simplifies the adoption of APIs, builds a developer community, eases the self-service onboarding process, with which you can also track developers. The documentation of APIs is comprehensive, which makes it easy for developers to use the APIs. In fact, you can add code snippets that the developers can borrow, which sort of comes from the GitHub idea and the Docker Hub, as well as monetization, which I was just talking about earlier. So we'll do a quick demo of this tool. And then the second use case, which is on the next slide, is really enhancing some of those features. Well, there's two parts to it. So one is using a tool like Apigee to understand, use out-of-the-box policies for translation, transformation, security, advanced analytics on usage, which you can see the example on the right-hand side. And then the second part is enhancing those APIs. For example, certain APIs that you're exposing right now, tools, when you put a query through, they give you aggregated data, but that data can be narrowed down using certain parameters, and that's an extension you can make to certain APIs. So again, in the interest of time, I'll hand it over to Ashish to show that quick demo. And then if we still have some time, we have some additional slides around Fresh Gravity and Google and certain clients, that financial services clients that are using developer portals like this, particularly example like in ABN AMRO, for example. So go ahead, Ashish.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nilesh. So let's get into the demo. Okay. So I'll just share. Yeah. So before getting started with the demo, just wanted to mention, like, this is just a strawman that we have built in a few days, and like this can be extended further to add all of your APIs and tools to this portal and maybe APIs to Apigee. Okay. So with that, let's start with the first use case, which is the developer portal. So if you see, this is the Apigee developer portal that we have created. Now, one thing to notice here is we are just an anonymous user. We have not signed in or anything like that. Okay, now let's go into the existing APIs. Okay, we see we have the HMDA API, right? Well, that's in public API, so we can access it. We'll see the documentation, so you can see all the details. Sorry, I think we have an typo error, but that is fine. We'll just go. I'll show you the documentation in this. So in this HMDA API, we have documented everything, right? Whatever is there, like how to do all those things, right? And we can just directly test out this API directly from the portal. So say I'll just copy few details. I need to add the body for this, so I'll just copy it from here.
Just a time check. We're at 48. You have plenty of time, but we'll transition to questions in just a couple minutes. And if panelists have questions, go ahead and raise your hand.
Sure. Thanks, Julia. We'll keep that in mind. Okay, so we have added the request, the body, just execute it. So you see, we got the response, right? So this is sort of as an open API that CFPB can have, right? Now, let me just sign in and see if there is any other API that we have. So, okay, so yeah. So now I'm signed in. I go into APIs. Now I see one more API, that is the data browser API. So this is an restricted API, like only an authenticated user can see this APIs. So like this, we can include all the other APIs and tools that that are there, right? So let's try out this API quickly as well. So I'll just copy the details. Can copy few of the details from the examples as well. Okay, can execute this. Now if you see, we are getting a response. So this explains, like, you can have this portal out there, like publish your all the APIs which have like both, like you can publish either some of the public APIs which can be directly used by someone anonymously, and you can have certain authenticated users who can take like advantage of your other APIs as well. Okay. With this, I'll just switch to the other part of it, the other aspect, the API enhancement aspect. So what we have done is we have used the HMDA API, okay, and we have just added a extra layer of security on top of it. Okay, so what we have done is we just have added a token-based security on it. So let me just get a token to call that API. So I have copied the token. This is the API Okay, this is the request. I'll just
And
copy.
so this is another time check. So we're right at halftime, right at 10 minutes, but I don't have any questions yet. So I might encourage you to continue until we have a question.
Sure, it will just take a minute or so. Thanks. Okay, so I hit this API, right? So I'm able to access it. Now, suppose if I add something else, it will just give me an error that you're not authorized. Okay. With that, I have also added one more layer of security where you can check based on your request content, you can check. So I have added like this keyword should not be there in my request. So if I send this request, I get a 403 forbidden. So yeah, so that's how we have added that extra layer of security. Now over to you, Nilesh, if you want to take.
Yeah, Julie, if we have another 30 seconds, I can just quickly go over some of the slides in the appendix, if that's okay, or unless you have questions.
Yeah, that's completely okay, because I don't have any questions in the queue just yet. So again, I encourage panelists to raise your hands, but by all means.
Sure. So yeah, Ashish, if you don't mind, just a little bit about Fresh Gravity. We are a niche consulting firm, 6 years old. You can look at the list of some of our key partners. Obviously, Google Cloud and Apigee are key partners for us. Some of the select clients, a lot of work in the financial services space, and good recognition by analysts like Forrester, and IDC. We are about 170 people now, and we also have presence in the Washington DC area, which is where I'm based. So next slide, Ashish. Yeah, we can skip this. Just a quick snapshot of our capabilities: data management, API integration, data science, and AI. Of course, this project, this Tech Sprint falls under the API integration space. This is a slide about Google Cloud's Apigee product. It's an industry-leading product. Peter, Albert, feel free to chime in, but we have been partners with Apigee for the last 6 years, and we have seen how clients are able to very quickly adopt and adapt Apigee and use some of its very rich features for analytics, monetization, policies out of the box, security, all of that. And then the next slide and the last one is, and like I said, we'll send you these slides. These are some of the Apigee clients in financial services space that have used Apigee for various purposes. The one use case that we were showing, the developer portal use case, if you would like to just Google ABN AMRO developer portal, that's a really good example of an Apigee developer portal that's being used by a financial services firm. And I think they use it to the fullest, like they have security and advanced analytics in the back. I'm assuming, I don't know about that, but I'm guessing that they do that in the back.
Okay, and I have a question from Michael.